Hey, beautiful people. How are you? How's everybody doing out there? Um, I wanted to do this live tonight um, because there's just so much going on here, and I don't think a lot of people understand really understand like what is happening now. Um, the title of tonight's oh hey yeah the title of tonight's program is what is repatriation, and unfortunately a lot of people are of the idea or the belief that it's just going to Africa to live. You know that they're just changing addresses and they just have to find a new way of making a living, and living in Africa is better than living in America. And they completely miss the whole entire point of what exactly we are doing here. Hey, Jojo, how are you? Yes. So, what exactly are we doing here? So, I'm not saying don't come and don't live your best life, but by the same token, um, you are reversing with your actions, with buying a plane ticket, getting on a plane, getting out your passport, packing your bags. You are reversing 400 years of tyranny and enslavement of your ancestors that were traduced, and their wealth, the wealth of the West, was used to build up. I'm sorry, the suffering of your ancestors was used to build up the wealth of the West, right? And until people actually get that or understand that, then we're just walking around in the dark and walking around in circles, because there isn't enough information out there that illuminates not just us, the descendants of these human trafficking crimes, but also those who are not descendants of these experiences, namely white people, Asian people, African people. They don't know and they don't understand what exactly we are doing here, or why we would pick up ourselves and leave what we call our country and come to Africa. And then when we get here, we find we find out something devastating. As for me, I knew, but I didn't know. But I mean, I knew from reading and understanding, but I really did not comprehend. I didn't get it until I got here. That of all these 54 countries on the entire African continent, there is not one single piece of legislation or constitution in any of these countries, not in the African Union, nothing that makes any kind of preparation for the diaspora to return. When you go and read these articles, the diaspora they're talking about is investment opportunities with the diaspora. They're not talking about the repatriation of peoples who were humanly trafficked, and abused and taken advantage of for over 400 years, and made to live in a society where the wealth gap, the education gap, the opportunities have been such a deep contrast between those who have taken advantage of us and those who had to work in like 3 lifetimes just to have the basic things, right? And so when we come here, we find ourselves having to do the exact same things that those who abused us have to do. So if you need to get certain kinds of documentation to live and work, there is nothing anywhere for the diaspora to say, okay, there is legislation in place that allows you to have some kind of concession where you pay a cheaper rate or you pay something. As long no Black people, no people of African descent should come to any country in Africa, and if they don't have a sack of money, they have no right to be there in the year 2021. I mean, we're not talking about the 1960s. We're not talking about the civil rights movements. We're not talking about any of that. We're not talking about the 50s. We're not talking about the 20s. We're talking about now. Right now, there is nothing, no kind of constitutional concessions, nothing on the books anywhere for any people of the diaspora to say, okay, there's concessions for them. Where Jamaicans are concerned, Julius Nyerere said that Jamaicans have the right to abode here, but it is not written in the Constitution. Okay. Okay, let's take the Jamaicans out of the equations, because the Jamaicans have been fighting for repatriation with reparations for at least 60, 70 years, 60 to 70 years. And in this day and age, there is still no legal anything, no legal documentation from the African Union for any African nations. Yet we who pick up ourselves and leave and come to invest with our minds, our money, our presence, we still find it somehow, what's the word? We still find ways to tear each other down, to assassinate each other's characters, to attack verbally and otherwise each other without recognizing that right now, not last week or not next week, right now, we in this repatriation movement who have found ourselves on the African continent, we are the most relevant group on the planet at the moment that no one is talking about. No one is putting us up on BBC. No one is putting us up on the CNN. No one is talking about what we're doing. We are reversing 400 years of slavery, and all that was taken from us. All that was carted away. All that was stolen. We are reversing that in this lifetime with our presence on the continent. That is what we are doing here. That is what our repatriation is. Okay? It's not just changing your address and say, well, now I live in sunshine and it's so wonderful here and I can't wait to go and play badminton and I can't wait to go and have some fun at the beach. That's not what we're doing here. I talk a lot about the beach and I show people the beautiful things that they can see here and the nice things that, are surrounding me in my environment. Yes, because when I started this channel, it was to show people that Africa is not just about like, starving children with swollen bellies and flies and people with no opportunity and nothing. I continuously show a positive side of Africa. Despite some negative things that happen, I consistently show the positive side of Africa. Okay? But on a day-to-day basis, my entire role here is not about, having the best life. Go back to the beginning. Go all the way back to the beginning. That Exodus house was started by me and my own funds. I am the one who went and signed the lease. Before it showed up on YouTube, I actually had possession possession of the property before I started to say, okay, I'm building this house, I'm doing this. There is a philosophy and a mentality that went into that prior to that, okay? And I would not lead myself there without having a certain kind of mentality of what I am here to do. We are here to repatriate. We are here to seek reparations. We are here to seek our rights to repatriate. It is a human right. It's not enough to buy a ticket and come all this way and say, I live here and now look at me, I live the best life. It's not enough. There is other work that needs to be done. And I'm speaking to those of you who are here who are behaving in very petty and small-minded ways as if we're still in high school. And those of you who have never set foot on the continent, that no one has, you have no experience here, but you still find ways to out-talk yourself and tell yourself negative things and sell yourself negative ideas without completely understanding what is at stake at this point in time. We have no legal protection. I don't know if I said it before, but I'm saying it here tonight. There are no legal protections, and in some countries, people are just making up things as they go along, okay? And while we're busy tearing each other down or accusing each other of this and doing the devil's work, we are losing sight of the real things that are at stake, which is asking for our human rights. Now, maybe some people will not agree with me, but according to the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights Handbook on Voluntary Repatriation, it is a human right. And no country should try to force any repatriating people out. It's the law. It's Human Rights 101. United Nations Council on Human Rights on the status of the refugee, okay? Now, and it's also in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights to seek reparations. Those are written in law. So while we are busy finding everything else to talk about, the vaccine, COVID, did you hear she said this? Did you hear she said that? While you're so busy doing that, you're losing sight of the big picture, is that we who are here, we have a number. We have strength in our numbers. We are now a group. We're now a group of people who have a single mind. We picked up ourselves. We left wherever we left, England, America, wherever, and we have found ourselves on the continent, whether we are in Ghana or the Gambia or here in Tanzania. We have arrived on the continent and we have done very little by way of advancing our progress or advancing our human rights or asserting our human rights to not just for ourselves and our children, but for the entire diaspora, the entire Black race. How is it even humanly possible? How is it? We have our history books. We have all of the documentation. You can go to the universities. You have so much information out there that tells you how disgusting the traffic of Africans were, and how people were enslaved and introduced and made to work and build up wealth with sugarcane in Jamaica, cotton in the South, and all of the wealth went back to England. It went back to New York. It went all over the white man's world. And then all of a sudden we is free, but we were never answered, and every other race is answered. Everybody else is answered. Okay? The Jews are answered. The Jews are they've been given land they can repatriate and go and have themselves some. They even have their own passport. They have a whole nation, because humanity was so ashamed of what they did, what Hitler did to the Jews. But nobody is ashamed about what they did to Black people. No one is ashamed of that. So we who have found ourselves here, it is the onus is on us. The onus is on us, to organize, centralize, and come together and seek out our human rights in a legal process. Okay, and I've been trying to avoid saying that for obvious reasons, but it's just getting to the point now where I don't interact with people or with others who cannot see and who don't understand where we are now. I don't have the energy or the time to socialize and to make this into a social gathering. This is not a social gathering. I don't know if it's a social gathering for some people. It's not a social gathering for me. Okay, go to this website, www.ebic.org. Let me give this to you. Okay, and a lot of people don't like the seriousness of myself. They don't like how serious. Let me see. I don't know. Let me put this back again. www.ebic.org. Okay. Go to this website. Do some research on the legislation and the process that has existed in Jamaica from the 1940s until now. The correspondences with the United Nations, the games that they play, and still in this year, 2021, more than 100 years after the emancipation of slavery, there is nothing out there. There is no kind of body or anything. And I've been avoiding saying this because this is the goal and the objective of the NGO that I'm looking to set up. But with the mentality of most of the people that I have been getting, I have not been able to be as far as I could be if we were of a single mind. Okay? So that was my part that I was looking to do, is setting up an NGO that would be able to respond to these things. I've said it publicly, I've said it privately, I've said it on different channels, I've said it in interviews. If people don't want to publish those interviews, it's on them, but I've said it over and over and over again. There is only one way to address this kind of issue. It is legally, and it is through a non-government organization that takes up the mantle and the responsibility, that organizes and centralizes people together around a specific agenda towards making the concessions for the diaspora. That's where I am. And so while I'm trying to put all of that together. I'm just one person. I am just one person. I am doing as much as I possibly can. I have responsibilities. I have the Exodus house. I have employees. I have utilities. I have a lot of responsibilities, and I'm taking it in stride, and I'm grinning and I'm bearing it, because the important thing about having an NGO is succession planning. Is, should God forbid, if I'm the one picking up the mantle, what would happen if something should happen to me? So having the NGO puts us in a position where we have succession planning, we have an agenda, we have goals, we know exactly what to do next should in case something should happen. We are in revolutionary territory. We are in a territory now that no one has ever been in before. And unfortunately for me, because I have this Exodus house, because I have this place, because I have made myself visible and I have verbalized my intent and my purposes many times, I am the visible person. And that has made me a target on many sides, on the sides of those who are coming, those who don't want to come, but they need some fodder for their fire on their YouTube channel, those who are here that have never spoken with me, sat with me, and on the other side, and it's just unfortunate that the same people do not have anything in place, do not have any systems, have no idea of what legal process to take in order to advance this mission. The mission is seeking concessions for the diaspora. I have said it over and over and over again. It is the year 2021, soon to be 2022, and we still don't have anything. But I'm not fitting to live and die and not have something to show for it. I'm not going to come all the way out here knowing who I am, knowing what I know, and knowing what rights I have available to me, and not and spend all of my days just enjoying the sunshine and living it up in Africa. And unfortunately, I apologize for anybody who gets that impression, but more of you who have been with me longer knows exactly who I am. Many of you who have been with me from the beginning know exactly how I think. And the problem that I'm having is I am not a half stepper. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. If I say I'm not going to do something, I'm not going to do it. And people mostly I don't even want to get into that, but most of the opposition that I've had is coming from men, when it should be, okay, here's a woman trying to do something, let me try to jump in and see what I can do. Instead, I am getting hit and abused and punched and in any way, because it seems like I have something that they wish they could have. And I don't know exactly what that is. I'm not trying to be anything other than myself. I'm not going to do too much heavy lifting. I'm not going to try to be a superhero. I'm not trying to be a man. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to do anything but me and answer to the call that has been put on my life. If you have a call on your life to do something, do that. But don't take the opportunity to try to punch and kick and drag someone else who is only responding to their call. Thank you, Kate. I appreciate that, but you know, I'm just talking because those of you who are looking to come here, there's going to be a time when you're going to have to put your voice towards this bigger picture argument that I'm raising. Okay, you're going to have to speak on these things. And if you are talking about repatriating, I'm not talking about coming on vacation and coming to see what's here and blah, blah, blah. If you're talking about repatriating, are you prepared to give up your citizenship in America? Are you prepared to let that go? Are you prepared to never go back there? Are you prepared to dismantle all of the ideas and the thoughts that you have, or the things that have been put into your mind? Are you ready to let that go? Because if you're not, don't come. Really, don't come. If you're not ready for this fight, or if you don't want to be any parts of any repatriation movement, blah, then don't come. Find yourself somewhere, you know, nice. Go to Australia, move to a nice place where the rent is cheap. I mean, go to Mexico, go somewhere else. Don't come here, because there are already too many dead doors here. There are already too many people here who are just here for a good time. And that's not enough. That is not enough. You know why? Because there are people who cannot afford to to even buy a plane ticket and get out of there. There are too many people who have fallen into what the traps that the Western society has built for them and left them in those traps. Good people, hardworking people, intelligent people, people who have something to contribute. I could have very well easily be one of those people. You could be one of those people. Your mama, your sister, your cousin, your aunt, you probably know those people. But we're going to come over here and act like tit for tat and act like this is high school and we can spend all our time talking and talking and talking without doing something. No, no, no. I don't talk. I do. I do. So if you are not a doer, don't come. We have enough non-doers. We have enough people who do not understand what we're talking about and what is at stake. We're way, 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 way past the emancipation of slavery, the 40 acres and a mule. We're way past that. We're never going to get what they're claiming to be. But I'm going to tell you this. This is what I'm going to tell you, that for those of you who think there is reparations or reparations is a necessity, I'm going to tell you something. You cannot have reparations while you're still there. That is what the big picture is. You cannot have reparations while you're still in the United States, while you're still in Jamaica, while you're still in Canada, while you're still in England or still in France. You know why? Because when they give you that money is going straight back to them. Okay? And for these African countries that are trying all different kinds of stuff, not to be on the repatriation bandwagon, not to, support the movement or creating hurdles, I bet you your tune will change if you know that X and X institution is going to be giving this NGO $250,000 to repatriate 500 people. Your tune will change when you see that there is money attached to this movement. Your behavior is going to change when you see that we have support, that we have financiers from all over the world. When you see that, your entire attitude towards this is going to change. Because at this point, it just seems like it's all a sellout. It just seems like everything is for sale, And I'm ranting and I'm roaring and all kinds of stuff. But the other thing you want to look at the UNIA Black Man's Bill of Rights. Forget the Bill of Rights of the United States. Look at the Black man's Bill of Rights. Go Google that. We didn't get into Marcus Garvey's philosophies. We didn't get into any of that stuff. Okay, we didn't get into Malcolm X. We didn't get into any of that stuff. We didn't get into Martin Luther King. We didn't get into any of that stuff. Because each of these leaders that I've just mentioned, every single one, I must get to your blows and skirt. Every single one of them had come up with a plan to exit people from Africa. And then, you know, they've either been assassinated or cast to the wayside, like in the case of Marcus Garvey. And here we are, we found ourselves on the continent fulfilling these works. What does it mean? What exactly does it mean? Does it mean that, oh, I got out, lucky me, yay, me? Or does it mean we now have an opportunity? We are now we're on a different level of this battle. First, we had to get our freedom from them. After we got our freedom from them, we have to have the rights to have jobs, to work like them. And we still don't have those proper things in place. We don't have equity in their society. We have this genocide of murders on not just Black men but Black women. The jailingest country in the world is jailing everybody, jailing only Black folk, but nobody seems to see the human rights part of that. There is no there is no one calling up any of these presidents on genocide. No one is being called to The Hague for genocide of Black people. No one. So how can these same societies claim that, oh, we should just love each other and put those things aside and let bygones be bygones because, you know, those things were in the past? No, they're very present. They're like drops in the ripple of a pond. We are all still feeling the after effects of these things that occurred to our ancestors. And it's not a matter of a handout. It's not a matter of we want something for free. We want what we worked for. The next chapter of this repatriation is the reparations, which is our human right. This is not a predilection. This is a human right. It is a human right. And until they come up with some kind of definition or some kind of legislation or something that properly defines how, where, and when we can go or repatriate to Africa, which they never will. Again, in the 1948 UN Declaration of Human Rights, in the handbook of, it's called voluntary repatriation. It is a human right. It is not a predilection. So until they come up with something that says, oh, well, you can only go back to Ghana or Nigeria, and we're going to give you some land over here, and we're going to make it so nice and happy for you, and we're going to give you your 40-acre and a mule in Liberia or whatever, until that there is an actual process for that to happen, we have to enforce our own human rights. We have to fight. We have to fight for this. It is not going to come to us passively. This is not to say to go to any African government and demand our right. And you must give us this and you must give us that. No, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. There's a legislative process on how to do everything, this included. And I don't even want to say everything, which I can't and I shouldn't and I don't. And not because you see me posting videos lying in the bathtub doesn't mean I'm not on it. I'm on. Okay, but there's some things that I cannot talk about, and this is not the forum to talk about them. There are some things that I cannot put out there, and this is not the forum to put out there, you know, but best believe I'm on. Let's see. Yes, Audrey. We need to know these things. We need to know exactly what needs to be done. We need to know exactly what needs to be done. What loose lawsuits need to be filed. We need to know these things. Okay? Because if you take the if you go to the oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Let's just say the Jewish Council on Fifth Avenue in New York City. These people already have the framework for reparations and repatriation, land rights, living rights. All that we need is already there. We are just not working together through the right channels to turn on the switches that we need. We are not going to get any kind of reparations while we're still there. Okay? It's impossible. It is impossible. You will get some kind of trickle down things that look like, but it will never be the kind or anything that you're looking for to say, here is financial compensation for the wealth, the free labor that we've stolen from your people. And go ahead and buy yourself a mule and some land. That's not going to happen. And if it does happen, unfortunately, a lot of us will be at the Nike store the next day. A lot of us is going to spend that money right back into their financial institutions. A lot of those money is going to go right back into retail and commercialism, you know, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. We need to be here. We need to be on the continent. We can fight for what we want if we do the proper things, if we follow the proper channels to accomplish these things. And when we do, that money is what we're going to use and invest in Africa and build up Africa and support Africa and Africans. But we will not see that day if we do not have first the focus to understand where we are and what we're looking to do. It's not, we need to stop running away from the plantation and run to Africa. People are running away from and not running to. There is so much here. There is so much and so many opportunities and so many buttons to push and so many switches to flip. There is so much here. And when we get here, the mindset is like we're still in high school. And you know, I'm going to try to diplomatically say this without pissing everybody off, because it seems like I do that sometimes and I apologize for that. But if you look at the statistics of students who are graduating out of high school illiterate, unable to read, unable to comprehend, unable to grasp basic things, unable to process with critical thinking, unable to ask intelligent questions. This is not just some, number that exists in space. These are actual human beings. And unfortunately, we deal with them on a daily basis. The system in America is designed to fail Black people and keep them in a suspended state of thought. If it's not about buying something, it's about being afraid of something. And it just goes on and on and on. This is the time that we need to stop that kind of crap. We need to wake up from that. We have left that behind. It is time to start asking questions. It is time to work together. It is time to unify ourselves. This one over here doing that. I'm not gonna go to here. If she's gonna have something at the exit. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna do. I'm not. You can live that way if you want to. You can, but there are bigger things out there. There are bigger things out there than you and your likes and your dislikes. Look at exactly what a person stands for. If this person is not about the foolishness, you better believe when somebody comes to you with the foolishness, you better believe it started with rubbish. You have to understand how to process information that is being presented to you with a critical thought process. You have to learn how to pick sense out of nonsense. You have to learn how to discern for yourself what is fact and what is not. You are allowing yourselves to be easily distracted and easily confused when now is the freaking time to fight. If there is a battle tomorrow morning, none of us would be ready. Nobody is ready because you have lost sight of exactly what this is. Half of y'all don't even know what you're doing here. How is that possible? How? Yes, Evelyn. So we need to be ready. We need to be ready spiritually and move quietly. That's why I've been quiet. I'm quiet. I'm showing this Exodus house and the quiet time and the ocean and this and talking about the raffle and blah blah. But not because I'm not talking about something that means that I'm not on it, because it's not the time or the place for it. Okay? But I need y'all to understand exactly what this repatriation is about. This is not about, yeah, you can come and live your best life and whatever, okay? But for each and every one of you, I want you to picture at least 100 people behind you that you don't know, your friends, your family, your cousin, who is going to look at this best life that you're living, and they're gonna want it. What do you have to offer them? What do you have to show for it to say, well, I live here and this is how it works here. And these are the systems that why I lived here, we put in place to ensure that you will have a peaceful and a better life here too. Think on those things. It's okay for me and my family. We're good. Me and my family, we're fine. Okay? That mentality needs to end. It needs to stop. For every one of you, think about 100 people behind you. And when these 100 people come, what do you say to them? What do you do? How do you articulate to them that, well, me and my family, we good, but I'm sorry. I don't know how you're going to do it. The bigger picture here is talking or understanding what we need to do to move forward. That is the bigger picture, is communicating with each other, organizing and centralizing ourselves for what we need to do. It is a disgrace. It is shameful. I'm ashamed of the African Union. I am ashamed of some of these African countries. I am ashamed that in this year, 2021, we have nothing for the diaspora. We have to pick up ourselves and come all the way back to Africa for also fight. It was a goddamn shame when somebody dragged us out of here against our will, took us from our land, took us from our family, took us from our normal surroundings, and come and rape we and abuse we and take advantage of us for all that goddamn time, only for us to come back here and fight again. That's disgusting. That is disgusting. It is embarrassing that we also have to come and fight for this too. We have to fight to be able to work for ourselves. We still don't have anything. So we have to also come here and fight too. That is not right. That's not right. That isn't right. That if we don't have the same sack of money as the Mzungu who enslaved us, we're supposed to have the same sack of money that the Mzungu had to enslave us. Right? He wants to come here and live a happy life and lounge out by the pool, and he can drop $10,000, and we're supposed to have that same money too, to just to drop it, right? Does that seem right to you? Does that seem logical to any of you African leaders? Does that make any kind of sense to you? Are you that wound up with the Western world that you're afraid of making legislation, of making concessions for the diaspora with certain checks and balances? I'm not saying to open the floodgates and tell everybody to come in, but with certain checks and balances. Nothing. People are here, they've gone to Swahili school to try to get their residency. There were this, there that, and the third, jumping through all different kinds of hoops just to be in Africa, just to be here. Anyway, go look that up, y'all. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Okay? And the Handbook on Voluntary Repatriation. Look up the Black Man's Bill of Rights and look up the EBIC, EABIC. Understand what this thing is about. It's one thing to come and live your life and say, oh, I'm great, I'm happy. But it's something completely different when you have nothing to offer the people who are coming behind you. And people are going to come behind you. And as I have demonstrated, they will come in droves. They will come to see, they will come to try to receive some of the peace, some of the happiness, some of whatever it is. And they're coming with their savings, they're coming with their hopes, their dreams, they're coming. And meanwhile, you're lounging by the pool and having the best life ever. we're living in this cycle of shame. How is that possible? How is this cycle of shame acceptable? Meanwhile, bickering over here, bickering. Did you see what that one said about her? Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to say this again. Unless I have wronged you, you do not get to judge me based on what anybody else tells you how to feel about me. Because the purpose of whoever it is that is creating or devising divisions, especially against me, whoever that person is probably there sent to distract you. Whoever that person is, you've never met me, you've never talked to me, you know nothing about me, you've never engaged with me at any point in time, but you take what someone else said about me, not understanding their agenda, their purpose, their reason, who they are, what their assignment is. Because it's clear. It is clear. If you want to stop this thing, you come and get this one. That's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to do. All of these negative things that is just put out there, false things, that are not true. Why? Why? What have I done so wrong? Why does my existence bother you so much? What is it that you have to prove about me? You can have my first name, my last name, and you can go Google me. You can go and do research about me. What have I done that is such a threat? Or what is it that I'm about to do? Don't worry about what I've done. Worry about what I'm going to do next. That's what you should worry about, and what I probably just did. Don't worry about that stuff, all right? So these people here, it's time for us to organize. Stop hitting people who've never hit you. Stop attacking people who've never attacked you. Stop trying to find wrong where no one has ever wronged you. Put your big boy, your big girl panties on. We have to do this work. We're here. We're not here just to be on vacation. We're here to do the work. I don't know about nobody else. I'm here to do the work. I worked and I showed that I can work. And I showed that I am a person of integrity, of my word. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. This does not mean that people get to do things to me and I don't do anything. No. It doesn't mean that I am a target or I am anybody's foot rag or whatever. And that is the thing that people find out that shocks them. That is the most shocking thing about me. I am the sweetest person in the world, but if you cross, you will regret it. I have to defend myself. And that is always the case. I don't come get nobody or go attack nobody, or I stay in my house, I stay with my kid, I mind my own business. But if you hit me, I will hit back. You see what's in these comments. Yep. The indifference. We need to attack this indifference and foolishness. Audrey says colonization and slavery are two different issues. Diasporans are having to deal with African people who don't realize the youth of man is not their friend. This is the thing, is she said something that's profound and a lot of people don't understand, because the history is not being taught properly. The history in America is not being provided for properly. Okay. Now, this is where things get kind of hairy. Okay. America was a colony of Great Britain up until what, 1742? I don't remember. So yeah, up until the 1700s, and then it became an independent nation. It became its own country, its own, having its own autonomy, its own president, its own constitution, its own legislation. So from the 1700s, 1772, I think. So from the 1700s up until now, those who live and were raised in that America have no concept of how the rest of the world or the rest of the developing world has survived, or how our histories are all intertwined. So Jamaica was a colony of Great Britain up until 1962. Ghana was a colony of Great Britain up until 1952. Nigeria, Tanzania, I think Tanzania became independent, if not 1960, 1961, from Great Britain. So colonization has played a very deep role in our identity, in our history, in our experience. And that's what differs between the rest of the world and how history's presented itself in the United States. Now, whereas in the Caribbean, in the educational curriculum, you are informed and prepared about your identity of Africa. It's not a separate African American studies that you have to be in the 12th grade to get. It is presented to you from the position of a child. In Jamaica, we have our national heroes. They're all Black people. Sam Sharp was the leader of a rebellion. Nanny of the Maroons was the leader of a rebellion. Now, can you imagine if they put Nat Turner, the leader of a rebellion in the United States, on the money? That would be crazy in America. But in Jamaica, we have the leader of rebellion. We have the leader of rebellion on our money. We have Nanny of the Maroons on our money. We have Marcus Garvey on our money. We have these senses of identities that are entrenched in us. But unfortunately, the other thing that is entrenched in us is this dogmatic, blind faith towards the white man's religion. And that is where the United States, having its liberals and freedoms, in the rest of the colonized world, they don't necessarily have that option. So when you come to Africa, you're going to be presented with these deep ideas of colonialism that make you look at the world like, what? Like, how? I don't understand. But colonialism played a very big role in the education, in the healthcare. These missionaries that were coming here, what do you think they were coming here for? They were coming to ply people with the Bible and steal their land. So on one hand, we have colonization. On the other hand, we have slavery. And in the case of places like Jamaica and the Caribbean and Latin America and the United States, we have colonization and slavery at the exact same time. Okay? And so the history is not being presented in a way where people of color in the United States have a sense of their identity, a sense of their history, a sense of their person, a sense of who they are, where they're coming from, and where they're going. What they have done to our brothers and sisters in America is they have attempted to not just colonize your person, but also your mind. They have taken full control of your identity by whitewashing your history, by hiding all that you are and all that you could be. Because if you don't know where you're coming from, how are you going to know where you're going? So to not just colonize your mind, but also to integrate you into normalcy, into their normal customs and cultures. How do you get married? How do you eat? How do you, find a partner? How do you take care of the elderly? How do you, how do you get along with your neighbors? They have integrated you into a culture of selfishness. You're not supposed to take care of the elderly. They're supposed to be in a home somewhere. You're not supposed to even breastfeed your children. That is how debased the culture is. That a woman's body doesn't even have identity. That the purpose of your breasts are to feed your children. You have to learn, you have to go to a breastfeeding program to do that. Right? That is how debased the culture is. And then when you come upon other cultures who have certain things intact, it is almost shocking. It is glaringly shocking. It is frightful. Exactly what was taken from you culturally, emotionally, physically. You have no land to have relationship to. You have no land where you belong. You don't belong anywhere. You don't belong to any tribe. You have nothing. You have no name. You have no God. You have no food. You have nothing. But what you do have is anything that he gives you, which is you can buy these Nike sneakers. You can go to this basketball game. You can go shopping to the mall. You can distract yourself. You can have some debt. You have debt until you die. You can have that. And then that's what they present to you as life. And so there's a very deep disconnect between our African American brothers and sisters and the rest of us, the rest of the world. There is a deep disconnect. Purposeful, intelligent purpose by design. Because the more you're chasing your tail of consumerism and commercialism and all of this other stuff, the less likely you are to find yourself. The less likely you are to find your God. The less likely you are to find your spirituality. The less likely you are to find people who think like you, who act like you, and sure as hell, the less likely you are to find yourself on the African continent talking about some repatriation movement and we need our reparations. The likelihood of that happening is very small if you are continuously being put into a position where all you can think about is just the next meal or paying the next bill, and you're on this treadmill just going over and over and over again, pay. You have been robbed Robbed. You've been robbed not just only of the labor of your ancestors, but your whole entire person. They have robbed you, and they're not planning to pay you back or give you anything for it. But there has to be an answer. It's not going to go down like that. It's not going to go down like that. Come with your strength, come with your intelligence, come with your knowledge, come with your resources, and come ready to fight, because I cannot fight this by myself. Let me see the villages. Yes, Harmony. Must see it. I see it. I see it. But it is what it is, you know? It is what it is. I'm only here to advance my tribe. Okay? This is my tribe. You got some of this in you. You got some kind of common sense up in here. That's my tribe. Okay? Audrey says we have been in a state of psychosis. The high vibration people are awake and ready to get to work. Low vibration people are the ones who are threatened by positivity and growth. That is a fact. She's using some intelligent word here where this state of psychosis is not just, you know, I talked about mental well-being the other day. It's not just about that. It's go look at this book called Propaganda by Ed Bernays. Let me put it in the chat. Propaganda. Okay, and look at the way how information is presented to you. Propaganda by Edward Bernays. I think I spelled his name correct. But if you look up the book, it's a really, really old book. And I think it was written in like the 50s, right? But it talks about how television programming, how we're programmed, how society is easily programmed through programs on television, on radio, and how we are programmed. But apart from that programming is what she just said about psychosis, is all of these mental games, understanding how the human mind thinks and projects, thinks and processes, thinks and behaves, and thinks and acts. And when information is presented to you, how that information is processed. And we become our own machines of acquiescence. They don't have to do anything else to us because we have been programmed to receive and behave how they have provided the information for us. And now with social media, it just continues. Everybody wants to look good. Everybody wants to look like this one. Everybody wants to have what this one has. Everybody wants this. Everybody wants that. Without any independent thought for who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing here? What do I really want? None of that. It's just following the crowd. It's just going along with the current. It's just, you know, the psychosis that she talked about. The critical thinking, if you are not following the crowd, something is wrong with you. What is bad is good, and what is good is bad. And in these times, when you are talking about things that people can't easily comprehend, because you're not talking about shoes, or you're not talking about gossip, or you're not talking about hair, or you're not talking about any of that stuff. It kind of puts you in the position of being easily targeted. And a friend of mine told me today that that even Noah had to close his doors. And I'm laughing, and I laugh, because when you go back to the Bible story of Noah, and even that, like the way how information is given out, not even you can hardly say to another American, do you know the story of Noah? People don't know what you're talking about, because it's not presented. It's none of the things that gives you insight and understanding in any kind of proverbial or direct way. None of the stories, the allegories, the proverbs, nothing is being given to give you insight into a different way of thinking. Let me go back. Let me see. Audrey said, yeah, I mean, Audrey, they don't know. They don't know, but they're just trying to survive. They're trying to survive. Wow, thank you, Erica. I appreciate that so much, my dear. Yes, let me see. Yes, Audrey. So Audrey says 2020 was the year of clarity. And many people's eyes are open now. But you know what? I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy that there is a zeitgeist of awakening that has happened upon the Black people of the world, that has fallen upon the Americans, not just the Black Americans, but Americans in general, because a lot of the white people are also freaking upset and angry that they've been lied to and they weren't given accurate information. They don't even know what is the truth. Things are being presented to them and then mispresented to them, and they don't know what the hell to think. And now this time of awakening has happened upon us. And while we're all awake, let's just get the vaccine while we're at it. All of a sudden, it's this mandatory thing to get this thing put inside your body. Like, oh, they're awake now. We need to find a way to put them back to sleep. Let's get them all this vaccine. Let's get them all something that's going to keep them in this level of suspension. Let's make them so afraid they're afraid to act. But as I said before, it doesn't matter if it's a vaccine, a hurricane, an earthquake, a typhoon, a landslide, a mudslide, a tsunami. It doesn't matter what the hell is going on. What is essential at this point is that we stay the course. We stay on mission. We stay on plan. Okay? Get the hell up on out of their goddamn country. I don't care where you are, whether you're in France or Germany or Spain. Get the hell up on out of their country. Get out of their goddamn country. And when you get here, be ready. Be ready. Be ready. This is not like, oh, we're coming to vacation. No. Be ready. This is the new frontier. Because if we follow the legislation, if we follow the process on how to do this, we can get our reparations. There's no reason why we cannot have it in this lifetime. There is no reason why we cannot have it while we are all young and living and breathing. but we don't know what buttons to push or press. But understand this. The Jews did not get their reparations in Germany and lived in Germany and spent all their money in Germany. Understand that. You have to comprehend and understand what that means. You cannot live with the people who offended you so grossly, so psychologically and deviously for generations and expect them to suddenly do the right thing. That is one. And two, if they do, you better be ready for some strings. There are going to be so many strings attached. We have to start a different conversation from a new frontier. Let's see what Plum says. Yep. There we go. Somebody who knows. So Plum Jade Walton, good to see you. Plum Jade says Brené's descent from Sigmund Freud. Oh yes. So Freudism, reverse psychology, all of these different kinds of, these are games that have been played on you. All of these, you're a human being. There are certain kinds of responses, triggers, and actions that you will take, that you will normally take. And you're all like lab rats, designed to behave and think and act and do a certain kind of thing based on what you were programmed to do. Why do you think they show you advertisement? What do you think that is about? You can't just know for yourself, oh, I need to go buy some shoes. I'll go buy some shoes because I need some shoes. No, they have to advertise it to you and sell it to you. You've bought the shoe 10 times by the time you get into the store, because you have been programmed and engineered and psychologically analyzed. And now it has only gotten worse with all of these devices and the artificial intelligence and all of this stuff. They are predicting your moves before you make them, right? They're predicting your moves before you make them. They are using the things that you say and the things that you think to analyze and determine what you will do next. Yes, Audrey says, they're analyzing you. Them done analyze you already. They already figured you out. And this is why they can come up with some kind of monkey foolishness. Oh, we don't know where COVID came from, but you need the vaccine. And you need to put it in your body. And there's nothing you can do about it if you want to keep your job and pay your bills and take care of your children. They've already figured that out. They already know how much, what percentage of the population is going to be susceptible to that message, and what percent of the population is going to rebel from that message. They have done their analytics. They already track you. They already know what you will think or what you'll say on social media. They have a whole entire profile set up for you already, based on the programs that you watch on Netflix, based on the programs that you watch on YouTube, based on all of this stuff, the kind of searches that you do online, the kind of things that you talk about with your friends. The Google is listening to you, the kind of places that you go, the meetings that you go to, the things that interest you. They've been done. No, they have already organized a complete profile of everybody that they think will be able to take their poison or whatever it is that they're giving out. They already know these things about you. And you are being handled and programmed and projected upon. Your thoughts are not even yours. The ideas aren't even yours. You might have the idea to save some money and you don't even know how you got into Macy's buying a $300 this or a $200 that. Mm. Yes, absolutely. I mean, Audrey, think about it like this, right? Think about it like this. You live with somebody, you live with a husband, and he's beating you and he's beating you and he's beating you and he's beating you and he's beating you. And he stole your children from you. And if you cook, he takes away the food. He doesn't give you any money to spend for yourself. He keeps you in poverty, in tatters and everything. He abuses you so badly, cheats on you, lies to you, do all kind of stuff to you, right? And you can't go nowhere because you need him for shelter, for food, whatever, right? But God forbid, whatever, some light comes and somebody comes and says, well, you can't treat this woman this way. You have to pay her back everything that you have taken from her, the children you stole from her, and all the time you raped her, and all the food that you threw out for her, and all of the poverty that you put her through. You have to pay her back. What woman in their right mind is going to still stay with that abusive man? Does that make sense to you? No. If someone abuses you, you separate yourself. You remove yourself. You demonstrate the offense, how deeply they have wounded you, how deeply they have offended you. So you remove your person from that. When you remove your person and you heal and you can put yourself to some common sense, you go say, well, and now, Rufus, you got to give me everything that you owe me. You got to pay me back all that you took from me. Okay, but there is no payback, and I'm going to still live with you and still sleep with you and still cook for you and still give you everything that you're getting anyway. How is it that you're going to even recognize that you're supposed to give me something? Because in the logical thinking, of things is, how could you say I wronged you when you're still here? How is that possible? How can someone say you wronged them and you wounded them so deeply, but you still live with them? Does that analogy make any sense to you? You still live with them, you still eat with them, you still sleep with them, you still give them everything that they possibly could want. How do you expect them to respect you or treat you right? How? If someone has offended you, you have to remove your person from them. How can you say that they have grossly offended you and your ancestors, still live there? And that means the abuse wasn't that bad. What abuse? If you want your money to still live with them. You don't get it. You don't get it. So the thing to do is to get the hell up on out of there. Uh-oh. Hold on. Polesana. Let me see. Okay, here we go. All right, sorry about that. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Show. Okay, good. Yeah, no job, no job. You see this? No job, no job. No vaccine. But you know what? God not sleep. Something has to give. Something has to give. Something has to give. It's not just gonna go like that. Okay? It's not. If you look over the history of humanity, where, let's just look back a few years ago. HIV came to wipe out everybody, to kill everybody. It was transmitted through sex. It was transmitted through hypodermic needles. You know, it's supposed to cut down the population. You know, the Black population is still here. It was supposed to wipe out half of the African continent. It was the most devastating crisis in our modern history, the HIV/AIDS pandemic. And nobody knows where it came from. It wasn't in the Bible. Oh, that's right. It was made in a laboratory by these same folk. But still, humanity persists throughout all of that. Everything that they have thrown at us, we have been able to be resilient through it. So whatever it is that this is supposed to do, it's going to backfire. It's going to backfire on them. You know, and if you don't have to even look back at the HIV pandemic, you could just look at some of the corny stuff that they've come up with in America. Just some of the types of legislation and some of the self-defeating ideas that they come up with that is targeted and designed to strategically traduce Black people. But it always backfires. They never see it coming. Crack, coke, and what's the new drug that everybody's on? The little white kids are on. Yeah, they came with a crack epidemic, and it was supposed to wipe us out and kill us all. They're the ones who got stuck on it. What is meth? Meth, yes, meth. That was supposed to hook everybody. It's the little white kids that are on it. So it always backfires. I mean, where does meth come from? Who makes meth? How does it even get into the neighborhoods? How does it get into the community? Where did crack come from? Did it fall out of the sky? I mean, who had enough money to get these things into America and get them into poor Black neighborhoods? Who had that kind of money? White folk. And it was supposed to wipe us all out. It did not. So, you know, at every stage, at every generation, in every stage, there's always some shit that they're coming up with to try to screw us up, and it always backfires on them. It always backfires. So, this is no different, and this is one of the reasons why I'm not like up in like hysteria, and I'm not going to chase all of the news snippets and all of the little tidbits and everything, because part of that is they're trying to feed the demon of fear, the demon that lives on fear and negativity and human suffering, is depending on us to be anxious, to be paranoid, to be miserable, to be confused, and too confused to make any kind of decisions or sound judgment. That's what that demon wants. I ain't got no time for that. I don't have time for that demon. So be careful of how you consume information. Be careful of how you receive and process information. Sometimes you just have to, as we say in Jamaica, see and don't see. See and blind, hear and deaf. You cannot take everything into your person. You cannot take everything that this president or that president does as a personal affront to you or your livelihood or your entire existence, because they will mad you. They will mad you people. They'll drive you crazy. Don't pay them no mind. Live your life. Know what you need to do should in case you need to take some kind of precautions. That's all you need to know, right? But make your world just this small, because if you if you try to follow up with everything that's going on, that's in the world, some of it is true and some of it is definitely alarming, but you don't need that. You don't need it. You don't need it. You do not need to feed that demon of fear. You don't need it. Let it go somewhere else. Let somebody else go and get stressed out about it. You should not put that into your person. We have bigger fish to fry. This here repatriation that we're talking about tonight, this here movement, can you imagine, not in the 1970s, not in the 80s, not in the 90s, not in the 60s, not in the 50s, do we have this kind of movement of Black people from the West to Africa voluntarily. We had one or two things here and there in the 60s and the 70s where people were going to Africa. We've had the Jamaicans who've been going to Ethiopia and Ghana, and here in Tanzania, but on this scale, it has never been seen before. It has never been seen before. We are on historical territory. In the next 50 years, someone is going to have to acknowledge that we voluntarily took ourselves, returned to Africa, and we sought our human rights to do so. That is going to be our story. We cannot afford to let rubbish and foolishness and small-mindedness and pettiness get in our way. It's not the time for that. We don't have that kind of luxury. Okay? We don't have that kind of luxury. Let me see. Yes, it's a demon, the fear demon. Yes, Eric. It's a fear demon. It's a demon. It's a demon. It's an energy. What is a demon? What is a demon? What is an angel? It's an angel. It's a energy. It's a representation of a certain energy, right? A demon isn't going to jump out of the closet with scaly tail and fangs and a horn and say, I'm a demon. No, it's going to present itself to you in many other ways and forms, whether that's a person who's allowed themselves to be used by that energy, or it's information that is being brought to you through that energy. You have to watch yourself. You have to watch yourself on what you receive and how you receive it and the way you receive it from. You gotta watch yourself, because these things I'm talking about they're real. It's not no makeup, or Renee is just Reneeism, as one of my friends says, the Reneeism, right? It's not a Reneeism. These things are real. If you believe in God, and God is good, right? We all know that. And you believe in the angels, that the angels do the work of God and clears the path for humanity to do good things in the name of God. If you believe that, then you should also believe that the devil, because you cannot have the light without the dark. You cannot have the dark without the light. That the devil also exists. You cannot have good without evil. So if the devil also exists, then you better believe that demons also exist. Okay? And just like how good people come into your life and you say, oh, you're such an angel, because they're doing the work of God, or they've allowed the spirit of the angels to help them so that they can help you, blah, 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 blah. You better believe that there are people who are working with certain demons as well. There are people who have allowed themselves to be possessed by demons. You better believe that. And you have to think about this thing on a spiritual level. If somebody is going to bless your life, or if God is going to bless your life, God doesn't drop out of the sky and bless you. Your blessings come from the human beings, from the people around you. So better believe that if there is going to be a curse, it's also going to be from the human beings and the people around you. Okay? Or the information that is coming into you, and how you receive it and how you process it. Watch yourselves. Watch yourself, because we're in a good over, this is a good over evil battlefield, right? And you have to make up your mind which of those energies you want to serve, which of those energies you want to serve. So don't let anybody or any energy or any of that stuff make you a servant for the devil. You know yourself. Don't allow anybody to make you into a servant for the devil. Do good and good will follow, for real. Let me see. They keep talking about the job. Happened to the discussion about C19. Yep, let me see. Just said them were mad you. Yes, them were mad you. Don't make them mad you. Here, don't make them mad you. These comments are funny. Yeah, so many people are applying for passports, and you know, when I started this channel, I used to tell y'all, don't be mad at white folk. Don't be mad at the white people. They know it's time to go. They're running and they're running. I'm not mad at them when I see them. I'm not mad at them, because if you have some common sense, you should be in Africa. I don't care where you go or whatever. If you have enough sense to run, the best place to run is to Africa, right? So I'm not really particularly angry at them, but they're here. Okay, you have to see, you have to understand that. Don't put that in your mind like, oh, these white folk are here too. Blah. They're scared too. They're scared as hell too. They are scared. This is scary shit we're talking about. We're talking about, in this lifetime, the country that put forth the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights is now telling people that if you do not take a vaccine into your person, you cannot have a job. So where are they going to run to? They're running. Everybody is running. Everybody is running. White folk are running. We got, Asian folk running. Everybody is running. So don't think that it's just, a black folk thing. I mean, the beauty about it is we have Africa. Okay, we do have Africa. But a lot of these white folks, they're trying to get the hell away themselves. It's like a bum's rush to the passport office. Everyone is trying to get their passport. Everybody's trying to get out. Everybody's looking for higher ground. And some people can see the writing on the wall and some people can't. And, for those of you who have these relatives that cannot see the writing on the wall, that can't see what you can see, man, I don't know. I don't know how you're going to try to, illuminate them, but you must. You have to show them that there are better things out there than the lifestyle that they're presenting to you. I mean, COVID was one thing. Forget COVID. Forget COVID. Forget about COVID. Okay, let's just say we're living in a world that there was no COVID. Do you know how hard it is to live in America as a black person, as a black woman? Do you understand how degrading and humiliating and and then COVID on top of it? That is the ground for mental unwellness. That is not a good place to be. It's not a good place. Yeah, there's a short window. Yeah, the what Erica says white folks are leaving from Mexico and Africa. That is a fact. Yep, you gotta get out, right? Leave. Well, like I said, when we come here, when we get here, um, it's you're going to see that there are things, there still works here left to fight for. Malcolm X didn't get to come back to Africa and finish his work. Marcus Garvey didn't get to come to Africa and finish his work. So the Africa is missing the great fight, the great diaspora fight for human rights. That is what is missing in the legislation, in all of the legal documentation that needs to go along with all of our collective history. We are missing that great fight for return, and that is where we are now. Let's see. Oh, they're having a good old time up in the chats. Okay. All right, good. Y'all two connect. Let me see. Who is this? Oh, okay. See if Lily can take a gap year. Yes. Yes. So the NGO is necessary. The NGO is just one way of putting forth the legislation that needs to be on the board in order to make sure that we have what we need to have. I was very miserable at the beginning of this thing. I was talking and I talked a lot and I said a lot that I needed to say, and I'm not going to say anymore. Because you can't show all your hands. You can't show all of your cards. Sometimes you just have to roll with the punches and keep moving, right? But what I was talking about earlier was, it's the year 2021 and there are 54 countries on this continent, and there is nothing in place for the diaspora, for the return of the diaspora. Nothing in place at all, right? So before I go, we do have our raffle on the 31st of October. We're going to be having our drawing. Oh, it is Halloween, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, so we're going to be having our drawing. This is our, let's see, our website for the raffle ticket. Okay, and so that is for the raffle. Drawing is on the 31st of October. We are drawing for the master suite, the 2-bedroom family suite, and one of the double rooms. And in the double rooms, you can have 2 guests. The same for the master, 2 guests. In the 2-bedroom family suite, you can take up to 5 people for 21 days. So check that out and see, right? So what I was saying earlier was repatriation is not, we're not here on vacation. Let's see, for email, if anybody would like to email me or communicate with me. Something else. I don't know if this is the chat for that. I might need to make another video maybe tomorrow. So this is about professional people who have something to teach. So email me. If you're a professional, if you have any kind of teaching skills that you could, you want to train people on, I'll make a whole other video about that. And then to make your reservation for the Exodus House, and this website as well, you can find all of our donation links. Let me see. Exodus. Oh, okay. Okay. And I know a couple of people said that they had issues with the website. I updated it today, so there should be no issues with making reservations. But if you have any questions, you can go ahead and email me. I know I said a lot tonight, and I know there are a lot of people watching. But if you have any questions or anything that you would like to raise with me, go ahead and put it in the chat now, because I've been speaking for an hour and 45 minutes, and it's what, 1 a.m. here. Wow. And let me see. And this is the Cash App in case anybody would like to go ahead and make any kind of donations. So what we're talking about now was repatriation, exactly what it is, exactly what we need to do, and how we need to do these things to ensure that we are asserting our human rights. I spoke about the human rights, made a note, the UN Declaration on Human Rights and the Handbook on Voluntary Repatriation, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the UNIA Black Man's Bill of Rights, and I put up the EABIC, EABIC.org, and that is the Rastafarian movement in Jamaica that has been working towards repatriation with reparations with the United Nations for at least 40 years. And so we're at a juncture at this point in time where we have to come up with appropriate answers to questions that it's just shocking to me that there is no legislation, no documentation from any African country, from either the African Union or anybody, or any African country that makes any kind of concessions for the diaspora, even though it is evident and factual that our history demonstrates how we were taken. We do have the right, as I mentioned earlier, we do have the human right to repatriate. It is a human right, and it cannot be overlooked or undermined. And through the NGO that I'm looking to organize, that is exactly how we're going to go about moving the process. Cannot say everything here. And this is why when you see me with certain videos and I'm just talking about, life and fun, blah, 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 there are things that I cannot talk about, okay? So I'm going to go. I didn't see any questions here. Erica, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go to bed. It's 1. Good night. Audrey, thank you so much, sister girl. I hope you and Erica can connect. What you can do is email me, and I'll email you each other's information. Okay? Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to email me there. And the raffle again, 31st of October. Okay, thank you all so much for watching. Bye-bye.